Hello and welcome to it. You're watching eNews Direct. I'm Duduzile Ramela. Here are the stories we're tracking for you this evening. More than 100 people arrested after violent political protests erupted in Kwazulu-Natal. Former President Thabo Mbeki comes out in defense of his controversial stance on HIV/AIDS. Remember to comment on any of our stories. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct. Our hashtags this evening is Sithebe and Mbeki letters. And in your top story, Sithebe on KwaZulu-Natal's north coast is under police watch. At least 120 people have been arrested there after a violent protest. Some residents are said to be unhappy about the selection of ANC councillors and the recent dismissal of an Induna.
It's an obstacle course for police and paramedics trying to stay on top of an unpredictable situation. The violent protest began in the early hours of Monday morning, and this is the aftermath. 4 factories, a truck, and a number of containers gutted. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured.
We have arrested a total of 120 people, and that figure is going to increase because we are still operational on the ground, and more suspects will be arrested. They will be charged for public violence, malicious damage to property, as well as arson.
The violence seems to have been fueled by the dismissal of an Induna by the local tribal authority and concern over the selection process for local councillors. Isithebe residents are reluctant to appear on camera, but they've told us they are unhappy with the Mandeni municipality. They say it's riddled with nepotism and corruption and has a poor track record of service delivery.
We haven't got those complaints. On the issues of employment, our municipality is one of the best municipalities in this province. And we have cleaned our processes to be very, very transparent.
The Mandeni municipality, which oversees Isithebe, received a clean audit from the Auditor General in 2013-2014. Yet police say this area has seen similar protests in recent weeks. The mayor and ANC leaders are expected to meet the community on Wednesday. For now, Isithebe is calm. President Isithebe, KwaZulu-Natal.
Former President Thabo Mbeki has defended his controversial stance on HIV/AIDS. His comments come more than a decade after his government was forced by a court order to provide ARVs to HIV-positive pregnant women. Mbeki has suggested that the focus on HIV/AIDS was driven by the lucrative sales of ARV medication. However, critics are unconvinced.
The Constitutional Court had to order President Thabo Mbeki's administration to give life-saving ARVs to HIV-positive pregnant women. Since government was ordered to provide these drugs, the rate of mother-to-child HIV transmission has plummeted and life expectancy has increased.
We know what happened is wrong. There's no question about it. It should not have happened, and we cannot defend it.
But now it seems Mbeki is trying to defend his government's stance on HIV. He's denied saying that HIV does not cause AIDS, claiming he only said a virus cannot cause a syndrome.
I can't tell you how laughable that is, A virus can cause almost anything you can think of. It can cause cancer, it can cause pneumonia, it can cause malnutrition, it can cause measles, I can go on and on. So I don't know where he came from.
Many of my colleagues at TIC are kind of astounded by the audacity of the former president to write a letter like this, showing absolutely no understanding for what people have gone through and his own part and his own responsibility in, at least 300,000 avoidable deaths in South Africa.
Mbeki maintains his government stressed the importance of nutrition in fighting HIV/AIDS and the need to use antiretroviral drugs with great care. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.
The plan to extend the cut-off date for land claims to before 1913 is firmly on course. That's the message from Land Reform Minister Kugile Nkwinti. He says the 1913 Land Act legitimizes what was taken long before then. The minister made the remarks today during an ANC roundtable discussion on land.
reiterating President Jacob Zuma's recent remarks on land claims and standing firm on the promise to consider applications for land taken before the Land Act was passed over 100 years ago.
We're going beyond 1913. That's why that program is called Exception to the 1913 cutoff date. We're buying land beyond.
But one political analyst warns that lack of courage in implementing land policies may result in anarchy.
If the ruling party doesn't move fast in a self-automated process, these things will happen, or other contesting political parties will amplify them, even if they are not in government, in a manner where they simply take the same programs and own them and articulate them in the simplest form, in the crudest form, that everybody will simply say, here is the message. So there is a sense of urgency on the part of government.
At the same time, Minister Ngwinti has expressed full confidence in the expropriation bill recently passed in Parliament. He says they've consulted widely so that they're not left with legal headaches. On the other hand, critics believe the bill denies property owners the right to be heard during the expropriation process. Olimgambi, Johannesburg.
The woman accused of kidnapping infant Zephany Nurse almost 19 years ago has admitted she had a miscarriage a year before the alleged crime, but never told her family. The woman said she continued pretending she was pregnant.
The woman, the state says, kidnapped Zephany Nurse from Cape Town's Groote Schuur Hospital. She cannot be identified in order to protect the girl she raised as her own for close to 18 years. The Western Cape High Court has heard how she kept secret a miscarriage in December 1996. She said she feared telling her family as she was planning to quickly adopt a child. The remarkable resemblance between her and a fellow pupil led to the revelation that she was in fact the baby who made headlines when she was snatched from hospital in 1997. The accused was arrested after DNA tests proved that she was not the biological mother. The woman told the court that she paid 3,000 rand for a baby to a woman named Sylvia. She says she was led to believe it was a legal adoption, and she was handed the baby at Wanbeck Station. She denies ever having been at the hospital. A nurse was also called who said she remembered seeing what she thought was a visitor dressed as a nurse at the time. But she was unable to positively identify the accused as that woman. The accused remains out on bail of 5,000 rand. The case continues. Atim Tongana, Cape Town.
Quick look at world news now, and the routine military posturing from North Korea today as South Korea and the US started their annual military drills. This year's exercises are the largest ever, and Pyongyang threatened both countries with indiscriminate nuclear strikes. The drills come just days after the UN approved new sanctions following the North's recent nuclear test and rocket launch. Turkish and European Union leaders are gathered in Brussels for an emergency summit on tackling Europe's refugee crisis. The EU wants to close the route north from the Balkans. Last year, more than 1 million people entered the EU illegally by boat, mainly heading to Greece from Turkey. Some 13,000 people are currently stranded in northern Greece after Macedonia toughened border controls. And the so-called godfather of the email has died of an apparent heart attack at the age of 74. American Ray Tomlinson was a computer programmer when he came up with the idea of electronic messages sent from one network to another in 1971. Right, let's take a look at issues making news on social media now. And tomorrow the world celebrates International Women's Day. This year it's going with the theme Pledge for Parity. But the World Economic Forum predicts that true equality will only be achieved in the year 2095. And on Twitter, we asked you a question. Do you think South Africa is making any significant progress to close the gender inequality gap? And so far, an overwhelming response, 72% voting no and only 28% voting yes. And we end off with terribly tragic news for the local entertainment scene today. Musician and socialite Koyo Bala has lost his battle with cancer and passed away in Cape Town today. Many local celebrities expressing their shock on Twitter. Remember, for these stories and more, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook rather. That's at eNews Direct, or head on over to our website. That's eNCA.com/direct. Welcome back. Money Matters now. And the value of international currency and gold held by the Reserve Bank rose last month. Total reserves moved $629 million higher to $45.7 billion. The increase was mostly due to the rise in the price of gold. An uptick in the dollar also offset some of the other increases. Foreign exchange reserves are measured in dollars and indicate a country's ability to repay international debt in the short term. Reserves are also used as a currency defense while being a factor when rating a country's credit. And local business confidence remains weak, with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry's latest index almost unchanged. SACI's Business Confidence Index for February stands at 80.1 points. Low economic growth, policy uncertainty and rising interest rates have halted growth. The Chamber is concerned about the effects of the drought on BCI. The index lies some way from its 2015 peak of 92.8. An improvement in the index would depend on the implementation of economic policies. And with that, let's see how the markets perform today. Let's check in with the Weather Center now. Here's Jill Guy.
Welcome to the Weather Center. Here's a quick overview of what the weather has in store for you Tuesday across South Africa. It's going to be a cloudy, rainy and cooler day across the eastern areas of the Western Cape, as well as much of the Eastern Cape, where widespread rains are possible in places. Isolated to scattered thunderstorms are forecast for the eastern provinces. It's going to be mostly sunny and warm to hot across the western interior. Now, here's a look at the rainfall accumulation map for you Tuesday across South Africa, showing the possibility of up to 100 millimeters of rain for the central and southeastern parts of the Eastern Cape. Kwazulu-Natal is going to be mostly cloudy to overcast with thunderstorms in most areas and rain across the southern sections, including around Durban, where temperatures will peak at around 26 degrees. It's going to be pretty wet across much of the Eastern Cape interior, with temperatures in the upper teens for the central and eastern sections, a bit warmer as we go towards the coastal areas. Light rain is forecast for part of the south coast of the Western Cape and the adjacent interior. Otherwise, it's going to be mostly sunny as we go towards Cape Town, where temperatures will reach a warm 25 degrees. Mostly sunny skies are also forecast for the western parts of the Northern Cape. Thunder showers are possible around Kimberley. A bit of rain in the morning for Koosberg. It's going to be unsettled across much of the Free State, Bloemfontein, warming to around 25 degrees. Thunder showers are also forecast for the northwest. Temperatures in the mid to upper teens for the province. Zeerust and Rustenburg peaking at around 27. We are going to see afternoon and evening thunder showers across much of the Limpopo province, but it's going to be dry over the Lowveld areas with very hot afternoon temperatures. A sizzling 40 is forecast for the high in Skukuza. It's going to be unsettled for the Mpumalanga Highveld, Bombela peaking at a hot 37 degrees. Thunder showers are also forecast in the afternoon for Gauteng, Johannesburg, peaking at around 26 degrees. On Wednesday, we are going to have mostly sunny and warm to hot weather for Western South Africa. It will stay very unsettled for the eastern half of the country. Then on Thursday, thunder showers are forecast over the northeast, a bit of rain for Richards Bay and Durban, as well as around George.
Coming up after the break, musician and socialite Koyo Bala loses his battle with cancer at the age of 37. Time now for a look at entertainment stories making headlines.
Indeed, we start with the sad news from the local social scene with the death of Koyobala.
Local musician and socialite Koyobala has passed away. A family spokesperson says he died of cancer at the Groote Hospital in Cape Town. The 37-year-old had publicly disclosed his HIV-positive status in 2012. He was a member of Afro-pop group Threesome. The studio behind the Nina Simone biopic has come to Zoe Saldana's defense.
You get some champagne and bring it upstairs.
Critics say the actress is not black enough to play Simone, who was an African-American soul and jazz musician.
Tell him to give me my money!
Saldana is of Puerto Rican and Dominican descent. RLJ Entertainment says Saldana should be judged on her performance and not the color of her skin. The film Nina is due to hit South African screens next month.
A reminder now of the day's top stories before we say goodbye. More than 100 people arrested after violent political protests erupted in Kwazulu-Natal. Former President Thabo Mbeki comes out in defense of his controversial stance on HIV/AIDS and antiretroviral treatment. And that's your Monday edition of eNews Direct.
It is. We're back same time tomorrow. Up next, Rhythm City.
Remember, you can share your views with us. Do send us an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or just talk to us on Twitter and Facebook. And the handle that you need is @eNewsDirect.
Until tomorrow night, have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.